came back into the market in a very big way.
What we know now is Wall Street can bring down Main Street.
People are seeing this, and those memories of fear are coming back.
When you have a 401k or a 403b, those kinds of accounts, they are incredibly susceptible to downturns.
The Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped more than 900 points. More than 900 points.
There are questions about how to best save for retirement.
Part of the problem is confusion.
Time keeps on slipping into the future.
The first rule in investment is don't lose. And the second rule in investment is don't forget the first rule. And that's all the rules there are.
When the market goes up, you go up. When the market goes down, you don't go down. Save Money Radio, your money safe and sound.
Welcome to Safe Money Radio with your host, Brad Pistole. Brad is a retirement and income specialist, primarily serving Springfield, but he's sought after nationally for his expertise in helping people secure their retirements. Mr. Pistole is a licensed life insurance professional in the states of Missouri, Arkansas, and Kansas, and he specializes in working with people who are near retirement and those who have already retired with wealth management, income planning, and asset protection strategies.
Save Money Radio, your money safe and sound.
And now, here to talk with you about securing your retirement, your host, Brad Pistole.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again today on Safe Money Radio. And as you know, it seems like every other week I have a special guest on the show, and this week's no exception. It's a first time for this guest, even though you've heard me talk about him for many years, and I use all of his research. And so we're very thankful today to have David Blanchett on the show with us today. David, thank you so much for joining us on Safe Money Radio.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we are super grateful. We've had a lot of your colleagues on the show, some of them multiple times. We've had Dr. Wade Fowle, Michael Finca, Ed Slott, Heather Schreiber. And so I've put all them on the spot this year whenever I have them on, because I think I've realized I know all of you guys. We're colleagues. I share your information all the time. But our listeners, they may be hearing about you for the very first time. So if you will, as we're getting started today, just tell everyone a little bit about yourself, what you do, and we'd love to hear about you.
Sure. So David Blanchett, I'm head of retirement research and a portfolio manager for PGIM DC Solutions. PGIM, for the folks who haven't heard of it, is the asset management group of Prudential. I've been doing research on retirement probably for at least 15 years, and I'm just kind of curious how to help folks have better outcomes. If we go way back in time, I was actually a financial advisor back in the day, but increasingly just drawn towards the research and how to kind of develop strategies to improve retirement outcomes.
Very good. And then I know you are one of the teachers, professors, if you will, in the Retirement Income Certified Professional Program through the American College that Hunter and I have both been through. So talk a little bit about that, I guess, if you will.
Yeah, so I guess I have a few affiliations. I'm an adjunct professor of wealth management for the American College of Financial Services. I'm a research fellow for the Alliance for Lifetime Income. I think one thing that I've been really focused on with the American College is just the value of education. The value of, especially around retirement. Retirement's a very different thing to think about in terms of solving for a goal. And so I really enjoy working with the American College, developing curriculum to help advisors kind of help their clients better, just because there are some unique things you need to know. And you mentioned the RACP, that's a really great designation to kind of give a deep dive into retirement.
Very good. Well, those of you that are listening right now, if this is your first time ever hearing about David Blanchett, I always tell everyone, just go to YouTube or Google and type his name in and sit down and get ready to read for a long time. So Hunter and I get up every morning, and on LinkedIn, we look for certain people's posts, and David's the number one top of the list because of all the research he does regarding retirement income planning. So if you're listening with us today, we want to give you a phone number because you can always call in at any time. It's 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. And today we're going to be talking with David Blanchett about retirement income planning, and you don't want to miss it. Well, I must take a short break. This is Brad Pistole, and you're listening to Safe Money Radio. Let's pause for some exciting announcements.
The market goes up and the market goes down. It always has and it always will. But if you are in or near retirement, do you have the time to wait for the market to go through these cycles? Think about it. Having your money invested in the market is like walking next to the edge of a cliff. What if you lose your step? What if the edge gives way? What if a strong wind blows you over the side? It is good to stay away from the edge of disaster in life, and when it comes to being exposed to financial risk, it is no different. Shouldn't you at least try to protect the money you depend on for your retirement income? Pick up the phone and call us now to receive your complimentary Safe Money Information Kit and a copy of Brad's best-selling book, Bulletproof, the Safe and Secure Retirement Income Plan. Our phone number is 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233.
I hate to break the news.
Does the state of the economy have you nervous?
Notice how the clenching of the hand is measured with this instrument, which we call a tensionometer.
Having trouble sleeping at night?
This chap's a confirmed pillow puncher.
Are you finding it difficult to relax when you think about your retirement savings?
He's been fighting his pillow for years, and so far he's lost every round.
We've got a solution that will set your mind at ease.
So remember these simple rules to keep relaxed.
Safe Money Radio.
Well, that's good news.
Have you recently changed jobs and now you have a 401k or another retirement account you don't want to expose to the risk of market loss? You've worked too hard to leave your retirement to chance. Since you'll probably start another retirement account at your new job, why not ensure your old account provides you principal protection, the opportunity to participate in the market with locked-in accumulation, and a guaranteed lifetime income? We can help you roll over the retirement account from your previous employer and identify products that provide the potential of index-linked credited interest while limiting market risk. Did you know that if you're age 59 and a half, you may be able to use money out of your employer's plan even if you're still working there? Call us now and ask about bonus options on your retirement money with a fixed indexed annuity. Imagine putting your money on an elevator that only goes up. It might stop on a few floors on the way up when the market index goes down, but you won't go back to visit the lower floors. Our phone number is 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. You can get your complimentary copy of Brad's best-selling book, Bulletproof, the Safe and Secure Retirement Income Plan, by calling us now. That number is 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. You're listening to Safe Money Radio with your host, Brad Pistole.
Welcome back. I'm Brad Pistole, your host of Safe Money Radio. I am a capital preservation and strategic income planning specialist working with clients right here in Springfield and Ozark, Missouri. So David, I've been hosting Safe Money Radio for 15 years now. Most people hear me on the radio, but our podcast now is also nationwide, and I'm licensed in about 15 states. So people listen to us all across the country. And the majority of our people are listening for a small handful of reasons. But at the top of that list, it's retirement income planning. Mm-hmm. They want to make sure they don't run out of income before they run out of life. And that's why they're listening to us, because we do so much research regarding that. And I've heard you talk for years about sequence of return risk. And I throw that topic out a lot, and I know I say it really quickly. But let's break that down for a little bit this morning. What is sequence of returns risk, and how does it affect someone heading into retirement?
Sure. So, I always like to make the point that retirement is the most expensive purchase that a household's going to make. So it makes sense to get it right, to really think through all the ins and outs. And one of the biggest risks you have around accomplishing your retirement goal are the returns you experience early in retirement. If you think about accumulation, if the markets go up, they go down, you get dollar cost averaging. Volatility is kind of a good thing. When it comes to retirement, though, volatility can be a very bad thing if when you retire, you experience negative returns. So sequence of returns risk is just the fact that negative returns earlier in retirement can be kind of catastrophic towards a long-term retirement strategy.
Absolutely. And so if someone let's say they retire, and I use this example a lot in the past. If they retired in 01 right before the crash, or in 08 right before the crash, or 2022, let's say they retired on December 31st, 2021, and then their first day in the in the retirement, everything's still in the market and the market blows up. How is that worse for them than if the market's going in the other direction?
Well, it's just especially bad when you're pulling money from a portfolio and it goes down because you don't have that chance to recover. So I think even if it does roar afterwards, right? Even if it goes up dramatically, having to kind of lock in those negative returns can be incredibly painful. So I think that the issue with market volatility is that I think it's important to maybe have a little bit of risk in a portfolio because you want to have a portfolio that can last for 30 or 40 years. Normally I would be saying that cash is a terrible long-term investment. Cash isn't terrible today; it's like yielding 5%. But over the long term, while cash has been safe from a volatility perspective, it hasn't really helped someone achieve their long-term retirement goals. Alternatively, while equities have done quite well over the long term, they can be really risky over the short term. So the key is kind of balancing safety and risk when it comes to like a portfolio, for example.
Very good. Well, for those of you that have been listening, I talk about this all the time. So I call it, there's a triple whammy, there's a quadruple whammy. The triple whammy is when you take distributions from a portfolio while the market's going down, while you're paying a fee. And so if you start off at the very beginning of your retirement and you're immediately in a downward spiral, you have distributions coming out that you need for income. You have market losses of 10, 15, maybe 20%. And then you're also paying an advisor fee on that account. And that triple whammy can eat your lunch. The quadruple whammy is if that's coming out of a tax-deferred account and you're also paying taxes on the distribution. So those distributions, you're not getting all the money. And a lot of people don't realize that till they take a distribution from a tax-deferred account. They think, oh, I took out $10,000. Yeah, but you didn't keep $10,000 because you had to pay Uncle Sam and you had to pay your state. So we want to be very careful with the sequence of return risk and how you're invested whenever it comes to retirement. So we're grateful for that. And if you're listening right now and you want more information, we talk about a lot of this in my book, Bulletproof, the Safe and Secure Retirement Income Plan. You can call in at any time at 866-780-SAFE and just ask for a free copy or a free consultation. We'll be happy to meet with you to look at your current situation. So again, our number is 866-780-7233, and we'll be right back after this break.
Do you own an annuity? Do you understand what it does, how it works, and if it's right for your retirement plan? Some annuities have fees that might not be justified by their benefits. Some annuities are exposed to significant market risk. Worse yet, if an annuity was sold without proper planning, it can cause unintended consequences for your retirement. If you own an annuity, it's probably a good idea to find out more about how it works and if it's right for you. It's time to give Brad Pistole a call now at 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. Brad will help you review the features and benefits of annuities you currently own without any obligation. Once again, you can call Brad now at 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. You're listening to Safe Money Radio with your host, Brad Pistole.
Thank you for tuning in to Safe Money Radio. I am Brad Pistole, a market risk mitigation specialist helping clients with retirement money preservation and income planning. So David, we're so glad to have you on the show today, and we were talking about sequence of return risk in the last segment. And one of the ways we help our clients kind of compete with that or even avoid it is by repositioning some of their assets. And just like you said, not all of them, because risk is good and it's healthy in part of the portfolio, but it's not good in all of it. So we reposition some of their assets into different types of annuities. Now, we use fixed indexed annuities a lot and fixed index a lot. But I want you to talk about that for a minute. With all of your research that you've done regarding retirement income planning, what role does an annuity play, or how can it help someone avoid and mitigate the sequence of returns risk?
You know, it's funny to use the A word, annuity. People react to that very differently. You know, I think a problem with the word annuity is it means so many different things, right? I don't think there's any word in the financial lexicon that actually does more work than annuities right now. There's fixed annuities, there's variable annuities, there's immediate annuities, there's deferred annuities, there's ones that provide income, there's ones that are for investments. But I think the key premise behind annuities, at least a lot of them, is safety, right? Safety in terms of asset volatility near term. You mentioned fixed index annuities. Those are strategies that deploy financial options that provide downside risk and upside potential. There's also just regular old school fixed rate annuities, also MYGAs. I think that all of these can be a powerful way to create safety and protection for someone when they first retire. I think that annuities that provide lifetime income, or the possibility of lifetime income, can be especially powerful. Just given all the difficulties of figuring out how much do you spend from a portfolio, how long you're going to live, how to invest, things like that.
Very good. And I'll talk about a lot on the show. I own 7 annuities. I've owned 10 over the years. Some of them have come to their term, and I've rolled them over into other annuities. But I purchased my first annuity back in 2008. Right in the middle of the financial crisis. And so before, honestly, when people didn't even know what the A word meant, and a lot of times on the show, I'll whisper the A word because we have to be careful with it. But, a lot of your colleagues, and I have Ed Slott on a lot and Wade Fowl on a lot, and we talk about annuities all the time. And later in the show, I want to talk about just how much things have changed over the last 20 years regarding that. But let's do this. Let's jump into something that can kind of be in the same bucket, in the same realm with annuities. It's something called the 4% rule. And I know you've done a lot of research about it. You talk a lot about it. But for many, many years, the 4% rule has been considered the rule of thumb for how to take withdrawals in retirement. What are your current thoughts regarding it? Maybe that's being challenged now. And tell us a little bit about the 4% rule and how that works or doesn't work.
Yeah, so, over 30 years ago, a financial advisor named Bill Bengen did some research looking at how much you could safely withdraw from a portfolio initially, where the amount was then increased for 30 years by inflation. So you take out a certain percentage and you increase it by inflation for 30 years. And he determined that was about 4%. It's actually not named correctly. It should just be the 25 times rule, because really all it tells you is how much you can spend in the first year of retirement. After that, it increases by inflation. And it's obviously not perfect. There's lots of nuances around what it is. But if you survey like the landscape, some folks say it's like 2%. Some say it's over 8%. A lot of consumers think it's like 25%. And so, I don't think that 4% is the right starting place. Probably closer to 5%. And there's a host of reasons why. But it's not a bad proxy to say, hey, you need about 20 times your annual portfolio income goal when you retire. So, you mentioned, Wade Fowl, Michael Finca. The three of us have done lots of research kind of asking this question, how much can you spend or how much do you need? And while, again, I don't know that 4% is correct, it's not 10%, it's not 25%. So it's in the ballpark. Right. And I think that a lot of people that aren't aware of how much you have to have saved are a bit surprised by that. They don't realize how much you have to have saved for retirement to generate retirement income.
Excellent. And that's really good for people to hear, because it is all over the board. You hear someone say 4%. I've heard 2.5%. I've heard 8% recently. There's a famous person that said 10 or 12. Yep. And there's been a lot of reaction to that. And so there's opinions all over the board. But since we talked about annuities, how can owning an annuity, or maybe more than one annuity with an income rider, how can that help you balance the percentage that you need to take out in retirement?
Well, so allocating to an annuity, in my experience, it benefits retirees in 2 ways. The first is just that, an annuity that provides lifetime income, by its very structure, will provide more income than you could create yourself from a portfolio, right? Annuities are are a form of insurance. By risk pooling together, it will allow individuals that buy them to create more income for their life than they could on their own, because I have to worry about, what if I live a long time? What about me? I'm just one person. When you pool risks, it makes the income effectively cheaper, so you can get more income at a lower cost with an annuity. I think the other benefit, though, is it allows individuals to spend more, right? Not only will you generate more income from the annuity itself, but when you know as a retiree that you have certain bases covered, no matter how long I live, I have all of my essential expenditures covered, I'm going to be more comfortable spending from the rest of my portfolio. So it's actually kind of a double win, where you get more income from the monies that you allocate to the annuity, and you'll also be more comfortable depleting your other resources to the extent that you want to do so, because you know you have your basics covered.
That's so good. I want to use an example with you saying that. I called to mind. I had someone call me this week that had called me about a year ago, and they were thinking about purchasing an annuity. They'd listened to me on the radio for a long time, but they were trying to time the market. They own stocks that they've owned for a long time, but guaranteed lifetime income was their number one purpose. And so out of the clear blue, we hadn't talked in a year. We'd kind of gone over all this information a year ago, and they're like, hey, I'm ready to pull the trigger now. I've already sold certain things. I know I want to buy lifetime income. What are the rates today? What kind of income can I get for this dollar amount? And it was over $1 million, not insignificant at all. And when I ran the numbers, and we have an income analyzer chart, it puts it into the software, and it shows us the top annuity carriers and what their payout percentages are. And this is evidence of what David was saying about you being able to spend more money. When I sent him the numbers back, he wrote back one word with a whole bunch of exclamation points. Wow. He couldn't believe how much income could be generated, and this was joint lifetime income for he and his wife, off of something that's contractually guaranteed for the rest of his life. And he's in his 70s, so if he could trigger that income, the payout percentage for he and his wife was like 7.5% joint for the rest of their life. Right. So the 4% or 7.5% guaranteed to never run out. That's why annuities can be so powerful. So if you're listening right now and you want to learn more information about what it could do in your situation, and not just that, we handle all aspects of everything in our office here. We do Medicare planning. We do income planning. My son is an investment advisor representative. We're both retirement income certified professionals through the American College of Financial Services, and we can do a free consultation with you, look at your situation, and help any way that we can. Just call us anytime at 866-780-7233. We'll be back right after this break.
Do you realize that even a minor recurring fee of 2% in your portfolio can cost you up to 1/3 of your retirement savings? If you're now paying a 2% fee, that can add up to 33% of your retirement savings lost to broker or management fees over about 30 years. Think about it. 33 cents of every dollar you've saved will be lost before you even enter into retirement. And it doesn't end there. That same 2% fee can cost you another 33% while you're in your retirement. So ask yourself, just whose retirement am I saving for? Stop financing someone else's retirement. Pick up the phone and call us now at 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. Now back to more Safe Money Radio with your host, Brad Pistol.
Thank you for tuning in to Safe Money Radio. I am Brad Pistol, a market risk mitigation specialist helping clients with retirement money preservation and income planning. David, we appreciate you so much being on the show today. We've got a few more questions we want to go over before we're out of time. But I know that in the American College RICP program, we did a lot of studying regarding flooring and bucket strategies. Now, that's just a couple of the strategies that are there, but talk about flooring for a minute, and then we'll talk about bucketing. But what does it mean to set a floor when it comes to retirement planning?
I mean, a floor is just a minimum level of lifetime income, right? So, almost every American today receives some form of guaranteed lifetime income benefit. Almost all Americans receive Social Security. If you don't, you might have a public pension benefit. It rounds up to 100%. Okay, here's the thing though, for a lot of folks, that's not enough to cover their essential expenses. And so I think a really important place to start when it comes to retirement strategy is how much income do you need every month, every year, pick your frequency, to feel comfortable in retirement? Because the problem we always have is we don't know how long we're going to live, what the market's going to do. Flooring or just creating that minimum level of income for life, I think it helps people better understand how to enjoy retirement, because they can worry less about covering their essential expenses if the markets misbehave or things happen.
Very good. And so a lot of times we will use an annuity as a third floor. You've got Social Security, like you talked about, you've got pensions, but we're finding out, and I have about 1,500 clients, it's about 5%, maybe 10% have a pension, a traditional pension, and
What's
a lot
a
of them,
pension?
as
I mean,
you
I've
know,
heard of them. I don't have one. I mean,
we're on our own, right? The yo-yo economy, you're on your own. We've got to create our own pensions, and I
Right.
use annuities to do that. That's why I own 7 of them. But, you know, I've got other buckets too. There's my 401k. I've got stocks, bonds, mutual funds. I own real estate. But the floor for me is making sure the guaranteed lifetime minimum of what I need to pay all my basic expenses is going to be there no matter what. And I'm in the building stage. Other people are in the turn the faucet on and let the water come out stage. But we want to make sure that by setting a floor, you've got income that you're never going to run out of no matter what, no matter how long you live, and no matter what circumstances you face in life. So now combine that with a bucket strategy. Talk about what bucketing is and how that works.
So, you know, bucketing is, think of it as like time segmentation, right? You're just kind of matching the risk or the allocation in a portfolio to when you're going to use it. And I describe buckets as kind of very behavioral. I actually have I recall a situation once where I was talking to someone about how much risk they should take in their retirement portfolio. I regaled them with why you need to have on-market risk and, on and on about, and maybe it was a recommendation of like a 50-50 portfolio. They just couldn't do it. They said, that's just too risky. There's no way I can afford that kind of risk. Now, fast forward, you just cut the portfolio up and you say, hey, you've got the next 5 years in cash. You've got, years 5 to, 15 of this balanced portfolio. Then you've got a lot of equities later on. They're okay with that. Now, mathematically, it's actually a 50-50 portfolio, but I think bucketing, at least from my perspective, is a great way to kind of relay to someone exactly how they're going to fund their retirement over time. Now, you can fill buckets in different ways, right? You could use MYGAs for like the first, 5-year period. You could use annuities potentially for that longer period. For me, bucketing is just kind of breaking out the assets based upon when and how they're going to fund a goal.
So good. That's such a great example. And you've heard David say a couple of times on the show, MYGA. That's what we call it. That's short for Multi-Year Guaranteed Annuity. It's an insurance company's version of a CD. And for the most part, it's right now, currently, it's about 1% more than CDs are paying. CDs may be in the 4.5% to 5%. You can actually get some 6% MYGAs. Most of them around the 5.5%. But that changes constantly. That's why I'm always careful not to use percentages on the show much. But right now, in March, late March 28th of 2024, that's where things are. And so you could put something in a short-term bucket like that while other assets are being allowed to grow. Maybe it's your stocks, bonds, mutual funds. Maybe it's an annuity with an income rider that has a guarantee on it of like 7.5%. And you're letting that build until the future when you draw down what's in the MYGA and then you turn on another bucket. So great tooling there using that together. And David just said something which it reminds me, I share this on the show all the time. He mentioned time segmentation. And our good friend, Dr. Wade Fowle, he and Alex Margia have created the Retirement Income Style Awareness Profile, the RISA, and I use it with all of our clients. We pay for it for you to take it. If you have never had something done with an advisor or with a financial professional to sit down and find out a risk analysis with you and find out what your retirement income style is, we provide this for our clients. You can call us anytime and just ask to take the RISA. We will send you a link for you to take the Retirement Income Style Awareness Profile. We will send you the results, and then we'll get together with you free of charge and go over that with you. And time segmentation is one of the quadrants you may fall into. We've had 3 clients take it this week, and ironically, all 3 clients fell into time segmentation. So it may be that you're in total return, it may be that you're protected income, but you won't know until you take that profile. So if you want to find out more information about that, just call us anytime at 866-780-7233. You can always ask for a free copy of my book, Bulletproof, The Safe and Secure Retirement Income Plan. We'll give it to you absolutely free. Our number is 866-780-7233. Well, David, a couple of more segments here. I want to talk about something we were talking about before the show started today, and it's in the middle of March Madness right now. I love basketball season. The Sweet 16 starts today, and so for just a little bit of history, basketball's in my blood. My grandfather was a very famous basketball coach in Arkansas. The Opal Pistol Memorial Tournament will be in its 40th year this year. And so every year our family goes down and hands out the trophies to the winners, but that's at County Line High School in Branch, Arkansas. So 40 years of basketball history because of my grandfather. And today we're going to start the Sweet 16. And as we were prepping for this show, I thought that this reminds me of a great example that can be tied into what we're talking about today. In 1995, I mean, since I've been born, from 1971 on, I've been watching the NCAA tournament from the time I was a toddler. So in 1995, I'll never forget, a team qualified for the NCAA tournament, and my father said, Gonzaga? Who in the world is Gonzaga? What is that? He said, good luck if you attach your buggy to that horse. No one knew who they were. They'd never qualified for the NCAA tournament. After 1995, it was 1999 before they qualified again. But guess what? From 1999 to 2024, they've qualified every single year. They've been in the tournament 25 times. And as a matter of fact, they have the second longest running Sweet 16 appearance. They've been in the Sweet 16 every single year since 2015. They've made it to the Final Four. They've made it to the national championship game. So now everyone knows who Gonzaga is. They're on everyone's chart, and a lot of people would be pretty wise if you're a betting person to bet on them. But here's the thing. I think also about things like guaranteed income and annuities. And if you go all the way back to 1995, people are like, what's an annuity? If you said annuity, a lot of people had this bad concept in their mind, right? Like you give your money to an insurance company, and if you die, they keep it all. That was an annuity. Back then, no one knew about what an income rider was or lifetime income. So things have really, really changed, over the last 10 years, or even going back to 2008 when I purchased my first one. So I've owned them now for, 16, 17 years. And I own 7 of them. But here's the thing. Attitudes regarding annuities amongst professionals have completely changed. Now it's not a matter of if you should own them. It's you should, but how many and how to structure them. So if you would, talk a little bit about how the attitude regarding annuities have changed, and why do you think that is?
Well, I think that the perspective on annuities has evolved as the marketplace has evolved. I think we see a lot of different products today, and there's always been quality products. Like it isn't like that's a new innovation. I think we were seeing more insurers in the space. Like the rise in rates have made the space very attractive for all insurers. I think the key is there are still lots of advisors that totally exclude them, and that concerns me. I think that there's a variety of reasons for that, and I talk to advisors across the spectrum. But the point that I always make is, if as an advisor you have 100 retired clients, let's just pick a number, and you've never once suggested to one of them that they should consider buying an annuity, like actively recommended it, then you're not really helping them accomplish their goals, right? And I get it, there's a whole spectrum of products out there, but if you're a financial advisor, it's your job. You have human capital that is specifically geared towards helping clients accomplish their financial goals. And retirement is a really complex financial goal. You don't know all these things. Again, like how long you're going to live, what's inflation going to be, what's the market going to do? And so I think where the industry is starting to wake up, and the industry is more of maybe the investment focused part of the industry, which is where I live, that this is a valuable thing to consider as part of a retirement strategy. So there is definitely been a shift here. I still think we're a ways away from all advisors openly embracing annuities, but I think that is where this massive ship is headed, because there is this increasing recognition both of the kind of the economic benefits and the behavioral aspects of owning annuities, especially in retirement.
Absolutely, and it's catching on, obviously. Last year, 2023, I think was the all-time record year for fixed index annuity sales. Almost $400 billion went into fixed index annuities. No telling how many hundreds of billions of dollars went into all types of annuities, but it has an important niche and role. So if you don't own one, if you've only heard bad information about one, Wade Fowle will say, I heard him say on a webinar yesterday, your opinion about annuities depends on what it is you listen to. Is it that you turned on the channel when the paid advertisement was never buy an annuity comes on and that's all you've ever heard? Or is it that maybe the radio station you listen to, they always have advertising about don't buy annuities? And it could be that you're on one that always talks about owning them and why you should. But the bottom line is, you need to talk to a retirement income certified professional, someone who's holistic, who understands all aspects of the spectrum regarding financial planning, who can look at your situation and say, this may be a great fit in your situation, and it may not be, but you need to sit down with someone who's trained not to just give you an answer on one side of the fence. That's what we do. We are retirement income certified professionals. You can call us anytime at 866-780-7233. This is Brad Pistole, your host of Safe Money Radio. I'll be right back after this informative message.
Safe Money Radio.
To make you more comfortable and relaxed, so it will be easier to sleep.
Safe Money Radio.
It's a groovy way of relaxing, opening your senses.
What if you could get almost 6% interest guaranteed for 3 or 5 years? That's way more than banks are currently offering. Don't let your retirement savings get less than the best guaranteed return. Call us now for your short-term money solutions at 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. Some fixed annuity contracts even let you access as much as 10% of your annuity balance surrender penalty free. Once again, you can call us at 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. Fixed annuities are backed up by the claims-paying ability of the issuing life insurance company and are not FDIC insured. We have software to help you choose from hundreds of highly rated life insurance companies. Now back to more Safe Money Radio with your host, Brad Pistol.
Welcome back. I'm Brad Pistol, your host of Safe Money Radio. I am a capital preservation and strategic income planning specialist working with clients right here in Springfield and Ozark, Missouri. But David, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. If you're just now joining us, David Blanchett's with us, a retirement researcher. He teaches in a lot of the different programs with the American College of Financial Services, and we were blessed, Hunter and I, to sit through a lot of his teaching when we were in the Retirement Income Certified Professional Program. And, you know, David, I wanted to share this with you. Yesterday I was about to close up for the day, and Lisa, our office administrator, which she's a very unique one, she also has her licenses, so she's the most knowledgeable office administrator you'll ever talk to. She hollered back at me and she said, Brad, she goes, do you know how many 90-year-old clients we have? And I had no clue. I said, no, I don't. And she's created this amazing software that we can find out anything about our clients. And she said, well, currently we have 10 clients over age 90. 2 of them are 97. One's 96. 2 are 95. And we have 25 over age 85. So in the next 4 to 5 years, we're going to have clients over age 100 and 30 to 35 clients in the 90-plus category. So this reminded me of having Michael Finca, your colleague on the show, and he gave the greatest example on the show about birthday, Lifetime Income Club. And if you will, piggyback on that and tell us, you know, why is an annuity important when you hit these numbers we're talking about? When you're 90, 95, 97, how can an annuity benefit you in your portfolio?
Well, I mean, I think that the key benefit of annuity is that it eliminates uncertainty. So, you know, I don't want to go in the opposite direction of the birthday cake, but as an economist, as someone that studies people, there are certain things that, we all face risks throughout our life. Okay, when you face a risk, there's 4 things you can do. You can reduce, avoid, retain, or transfer that risk. Longevity risk is the risk that you should seek to transfer. Right, you don't know how long you're going to live, and because of the concerns around that, it results in a lot of uncertainty about how you spend in retirement, how you accomplish goals. And so, the example with the birthday cake, it's all about when you don't know how long you're going to live, you don't know how much you can spend, right? And that creates a ton of unease among Americans. If you ask people what they're afraid of, it should not be outliving your resources, but that is one of the most commonly cited fears among Americans today. So what you have with the birthday cake insurance, or what you have with products that provide lifetime income, like annuities, is certainty around that no matter how long you're alive, you don't have to worry about eating cat food, right? You're going to have enough money to live off of to keep you well. And I think that's the value. And it's to me, it's funny how I've evolved as a researcher over the last, say, 10 or 15 years, where in the past, I was really just focused on these economic benefits, these weird equations, all this math, but it's more than just the math. It's knowing that you have enough to live on. It allows you to live your best retirement. So I think that, I think the birthday cake is a perfect example of this, where, how do you cut up a birthday cake if you don't know how many kids are coming to your party? right? You're gonna take little bitty pieces, right? But if you knew exactly that no matter what happened, you wouldn't run out of cake, you could cut these giant pieces and perfectly utilize that cake. That's what insurance and annuities do, is they allow someone to most effectively utilize their savings via risk pooling.
That's so good. I want to share this example. My father comes to mind. He was an advisor for 52 years, and a lot of you know he worked in our business. He passed away a year and a half ago, but here's the thing about Dad. You know, he worked for Merrill Lynch as an assistant vice president for 17 years, and he was in the no annuity, never buy an annuity bucket, and all of his money was in that bucket, right? But here's the problem with that. At age 56, he went through 01, and age 63, he went through 08. So all of his money was 100% at risk, and the struggle is going through two major crashes. It's sequence of returns risk, going through those crashes right before you retire. So at age 63, my father turns to me and says, tell me about these annuities you're always talking about. And so we moved. My dad ended up buying 3 annuities, and then he ends up retiring and coming to work with me. And thank God he owned 3 annuities, because now my mother owns those annuities, and she has the guaranteed lifetime income. She has her piece of cake for forever, right? And so someone that was very anti-annuity is now very pro-annuity, because he went through the downside of not having any risks in place. And he didn't sell off everything. He sold enough to guarantee the income that he knew he needed for the rest of his life, his flooring. Yep. So good. So David, in the world of 2024, we're wrapping up here. There are so many things going on. Anything at all you want to share for someone that's about to retire, what piece of advice would you give them as we close today?
Yeah, so the one thing that I always tell people is when you're going to retire, get help, and if you have help, get a second opinion, right? There's a lot. Financial planning is for better or for worse very much an art, not a science, and there's lots of ways that you can kind of tackle this challenge. And if you haven't worked with an advisor before, I think that you need to talk to someone. If you're working with one, get at least one second opinion, just because what you might find is there's very different ways to address a retirement situation. And you want to make sure that whatever one recommends, the other at least is doing something similar. So to me, for consumers out there, get help, because it's complicated and mistakes can be very expensive.
Very, very good. Yesterday, I had clients come in for a first meeting. When they came in, they brought a dinner brochure with them, and they handed it over and said, have you ever heard of this person? I said, yes. And they said, well, we went to it, and we tried to ask what it is they wanted us to do, and they kind of briefly explained it, but we asked what the company was and what the terms were, and they wouldn't share it with us. I said, okay. And then they said, and we went to another one, and here's what they told us to do. And we went through all that, and then I said, well, let's back up. And we went through everything that we do with our clients, and we find out what their purposes are, what their goals are. And by the end of the day, they looked at each other and said, neither one of them ever shared any of the stuff with us that you just talked to us about. What do we need to do? And so it's good to get a second, maybe even a third opinion. Right. Do your research. That's why we have people like David Blanchett on the show, who is a research expert when it comes to retirement planning. So, David, we're so thankful to have you on the show today. If you're listening, you want more information, call us at 866-780-7233, and we will have David on again. We're so grateful to provide experts regarding retirement planning that can teach you what you need to be doing to make sure you never run out of money in retirement. David, thank you so much for joining us today.
Sure thing.
This is Brad Pistole, your host of Safe Money Radio. I'll be right back after this informative message.
Is your money sitting on the sidelines in a CD, savings account, or money market account, earning less than it could? If you have your money in a bank, the value of your money is getting destroyed by inflation. Don't let low interest rates get you down. How would you like tax-deferred growth higher than what banks offer? Why let a bank pay you less when you can currently get 3-year and 5-year fixed annuity interest rates of almost 6% tax-deferred? Some fixed annuity contracts even let you access as much as 10% of your account balance surrender penalty-free. Call us now for your short-term money solutions at 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. Fixed annuities are backed up by the claims-paying ability of the issuing life insurance company and are not FDIC insured. We have software to help you choose from hundreds of highly rated life insurance companies. Call us now at 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. You're listening to Safe Money Radio with your host, Brad Pistole.
Thank you for tuning in to Safe Money Radio. I am Brad Pistole, a market risk mitigation specialist helping clients with retirement money preservation and income planning. Friends, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. We've been talking about annuities and very specific opportunities that exist for current annuity owners to move from one annuity to another if it puts them in a better position. This is something called a 1035 exchange. And here's the first thing to remember. You can't even consider a 1035 exchange until your existing annuity has been in force for at least 36 months. Now, after it's been in force for 3 years, you have the right to sit down with a qualified annuity expert and have them take a look at whether or not you could improve your ability to make interest and income for the future by moving your current annuity into one that's better suited for you in your current situation. This is similar to refinancing a home. So let's say you purchased a home when interest rates were at 8%, and you were in that home for 4 or 5 years, and then interest rates dropped down to 3%, like we experienced a few years ago. Well, you wouldn't want to stay in that home that had an 8% interest rate loan. You would want to refinance because it would lower your payment, and you would save money in the long run. This is very, very similar to what you can do with an annuity, but it's like you're flipping the scenario. In 2020 and in 2021, interest rates were at an all-time low. All-time low interest rates are great when it comes to purchasing a home. It's not so great when it comes to purchasing an annuity. Sure, it might be better than anything else that's out there at the time, and it might even serve its purpose at that time. But eventually, and usually, interest rates are going to go back up. Now, here's an example of this. In 2021, annuity interest rates were paying more than CD rates. So millions of people purchased hundreds of billions of dollars in annuities because of their guarantees and the higher interest potential. And then the Fed stepped in 2022 and said, hey, we're going to mess all this up by starting increasing interest rates a little at a time. And when they started increasing rates, as you know, inflation went through the roof. The cost of everything increased substantially, and the annuity rates that were based on all-time historic lows stopped competing with inflation. Now many annuity owners find themselves stuck in accounts that are only paying them 1% to 2%. And because of the caps, they're never going to make more than that. So we find ourselves in 2024 after an entire year of interest rate hikes, and this has totally changed what is being offered by annuity companies. So just listen to this example. In January of 2024, I personally purchased an annuity that had an 8% first-year guaranteed rate with a 5% guarantee in years 2 through 10. Now, for me, that was too good to pass up. And that's just one of hundreds of annuities that are available to consumers right now. There's some absolutely fantastic rates that are available inside fixed and fixed index annuities. So if you're considering buying an annuity, there has never been a better time than right now to buy one. Here's another example of an annuity that I purchased back in the summer of 2023. One of my favorite companies has a day one 15% cash value bonus. In other words, that's a $15,000 day one bonus on every $100,000 you move into the account. So example, if you open a $300,000 account, that would be a $45,000 day one bonus, making your account value $345,000. If you opened a $500,000 account, that would be a $75,000 bonus, making your day one total $575,000. And if you opened a $1 million account, your cash value would increase by $150,000 on the first day, making your new total $1,150,000. The fixed rates inside this account are currently paying 3%, and there are indexes in this account that are linked to the S&P 500, and those index opportunities can return as much as 7% all the way up to as high as 25.2%. And yes, your money will be 100% protected inside an account like this. No principal fluctuation up and down with the markets. And yes, you can do a rollover from your 401k or your IRA into an account like this and get a 15% bonus on the total value of your account on day one. And this is not a taxable event. It's called a direct trustee-to-trustee transfer. Now, you can also put cash into this account. That's what I did. This could come from a savings account or a checking account or a CD that maybe just came due. Maybe your CD just came due and interest rates dropped recently, and you know you can't compete with a 15% day one increase with great potential for return inside the account. You could move the money that came due in a CD into an account like this. Now, while this is great news for those of you who are looking to diversify or move out of the risk of the markets into safety, it can also be really frustrating news if you're someone who purchased annuities back in 2020 and in 2021, and now you're locked into those old rates. So what do? Well, here's the thing. I don't want you to be frustrated. We're here to help you solve this problem, and that's why we've talked through all these options on today's show. Here's the bottom line. Whether you're thinking about purchasing an annuity or maybe you own an existing annuity and you're frustrated with the lack of interest it's earning, we can help you. If you would like a free review of an annuity, or if you're currently considering purchasing an annuity, you need to work with someone who is a qualified financial professional regarding annuities. So give us a call. I am a certified annuity specialist through the Institute of Business and Finance, and I'm also a certified financial fiduciary. Our number is 866-780-7233. Just call us and tell us you'd like a free financial review, and we would be more than happy to do this for you absolutely free. I'll give you a copy of my book, Bulletproof, The Safe and Secure Retirement Income Plan, with the foreword written by America's IRA expert, Ed Slott. This is a best-selling book, and I'll give it to you absolutely free. Call us anytime at 866-780-7233. Thank you so much for joining us today, and there is always someone standing by, ready to take your call. Well, I'm about out of time, and I would like to thank you for listening to Safe Money Radio. If you're serious about your financial future, give me a call, and together we'll get your retirement savings on the fast track to accumulation while reducing exposure to market losses. Thanks for listening, and until next time at the same time, I'm Brad Pistole, reminding you to stay safe so you can step into a secure future.
Safe Money Radio, your money safe and sound.
You've been listening to Safe Money Radio with your host, Brad Pistole. Find out how to contractually guarantee that your hard-earned money is safe while avoiding market loss so you can have the retirement that you deserve. Call Brad Pistole now for your complimentary Safe Money book and Safe Money information kit at 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233.
Safe Money Radio, your money safe and sound.
The preceding information does not represent tax, legal, or investment advice. Surrender charges apply to base contracts. Optional lifetime income benefit riders are used to calculate lifetime payments only and are not available for cash surrender or in a death benefit unless specified in the annuity contract. Fees may apply. Guarantees are based on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the insurance company. No information presented today should be acted upon without meeting with a qualified and licensed professional. Obviously, by calling us now, you are just taking the first step towards protecting your retirement. It's important that you read all insurance contract disclosures carefully before making a purchase decision. Rates and returns mentioned on this program are subject to change without notice.